Hey, I'm Jason Harrell.
And I'm Justin Boyd.
And let's freaking do this.
Welcome to episode 19 of Let's Freaking Do This. It's a very special episode for us. My name is Justin Boyd. Once again, I'm thrilled to be joined by my good friend Jason Harrell, who's also a musician. Jason, how was your Thanksgiving, and most importantly, how was your Black Friday? You were busy that day.
Yeah, we were busy that day. Thanksgiving was great. Had lots of food, got stuffed, had whatever the obligatory family drama, and then
was that a side or was that the main course? Was that the
we won't get into it too much.
Yeah.
Jaret knows a little bit about it, but anyway. But then we piled in the car and headed up to Plano for a show with Kevin Fowler and this gentleman that we have here joining us today.
Yeah, let us know who do we have today.
We got Jaret Ray Reddick of the Jaret Ray Reddick band.
Yeah, I'm here.
He's here.
Here I am. Yeah, this is great. Thanks for having me. Yes, I got to hear all about the Thanksgiving drama, which was, it's good to be let into other people's stuff because of course, everybody has their own stuff that happens. I mean, it's just an ever evolving thing in my life. Like it's at least for me. We don't go to my family's house for most anything anymore, and so. At least it's not really directly any of mine. If any happens, it's I'm just indirectly there, and this is sort of
you had like a minor bit of drama yourself with the whole getting people coming to your house and building the fire thing, right? What's it called? What's the thing called?
What are you talking about? The fire pit thing?
The heater thing, yeah. The Isn't that what you call it? A fire pit? I mean, it's like that torch thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a big stand-up thing, but I don't know what you mean. What drama are you talking about?
Because you said you didn't know they were coming, and so you were trying to put it together, and then it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So basically, we got Thanksgiving thrown on us, and that's fine. I mean, it's just kind of like 3 or 4 days before it was like, hey, we're gonna move Thanksgiving to your house, right? And we're not set up for that. We don't have a dining room. When you come into where our dining room would be, there's a pool table because my wife rules. And, we have a spot to sit, for 6 people or whatever. But anyway, then the day of Thanksgiving, they decided to move it back to the original location. And so I had a 90% assembled outdoor porch heater just in my living room that I just didn't finish Thanksgiving morning out of spite. So after the show, we went back to my house, and my neighbor Casey Fisher just finished it for me while me and Jason drank and chatted with the rest of our friends.
Yeah, we were just sitting there looking at it. I was sitting on the couch with Casey, and he's like looking at it, and we're talking about it. And I got up and just started messing with it. And the next thing I know, Casey's just like picking pieces up and
just finished it up for me. So it's what's funny. It's been by the time this comes out, it's been almost a week since Thanksgiving. It's still sitting there, same spot.
But it's put together now, so
it's finished.
You could use it.
It's finished.
It's ready for Christmas. So,
well, we actually thought about this. I'm leaving for the UK tomorrow, and we haven't put our tree up yet. And this year, my wife has decided we're going to try a real tree, which is fine. But she's never had a real tree, and she's also never been a cat owner. So we're going to get a real tree, and we have a cat and 3 dogs. And so she's going to experience the whole thing that comes with all of that. But we're not going to get it until we come back. So that the dog sitters don't have to house and dog sitters don't have to deal with with that. But we talked about just saying screw it on the tree and just decorating the heater because it does stand up very tall, and it's like a grid system coming down like this. So it would be very simple.
And it's kind of like tree shaped almost, you know?
Yeah, it's got a tree-ish sort of like a. Yeah, I mean, there's no foliage, but
right. But just be careful with those ornaments.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't light it. There's no tank in there yet because that's a whole nother story. But yeah, Thanksgiving was good though. I mean, you know, it was, I'm a sports guy. Forgive me. This doesn't mean that I'm tired or bored. It's when I start talking, like doing interviews or something for the first time of the day, I usually yawn 4 times. So that was actually the second one. I thought the first one. Yeah. I fought the first one off because I'm a freaking professional, but you can't fight them all off, you know. Like I can hold a burp for a 3.5 minute song, but you know, I can't hold it 2 songs.
Yeah.
We've talked about that actually.
Yeah. I can hold it like right in this spot, and like even if there's liquid or whatever in it, and like I can keep singing. And I've never really understood why other people in my bands can't do that. You know, they'll like go away from the mic and blah, or whatever, and I'm just like, wait, hey, come on. I mean, if I have to keep singing, you know, but
yeah.
Anyway, how do you guys like the studio that I'm in?
It's great.
I like it looks like you have a car. Like, what a great virtual background you have. It looks like actual cars are behind you.
It's pretty amazing, right? It's interactive. And so, yeah, I can have the cars like I can press a button and the car will pull up behind me and honk. And I'll be like, oh, let me go. But no, I'm actually interview from my son is inside School of Rock and learning to play Nirvana songs. And
he's playing the drums, right?
Yeah, so he plays the drums and he plays the keys, and then they have a cool word for tambourine, tambo. You know, so he plays the tambo, which you know, and on which you know, it's funny is you guys are, you know, well, Jason obviously is in my band, and Justin, are you a musician as well?
No, I've heard music though. I like music. I like good music actually.
Well, you might be one of these people that when somebody is just like, oh yeah, I'm going on tour, whatever, the go-to thing is at a lot of times, oh, do you need a tambourine player? And what they don't realize is tambourine is like one of the hardest things to play. Like it's very, very difficult to like play well, you know?
Right.
You could get yourself in a mess, and then everybody's mad at you, you know, and the drummer's off, and you know, it's your fault. And so anyway, tambo. But yeah.
Mental note, I won't be a tambourine player. Cowbell though. Is cowbell still an option? Is it easy?
See, that's just it. You have to be very, very good with the tempo.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Not for me. Yeah, he's really liking it, and he's singing a song this time. So I'm gonna miss his concert. This is like it sucks that they keep scheduling him while I have other stuff going on. So I'm gonna miss this one.
Do they do concerts at like actual venues, or do they do them like kind of there? That's what I thought. I thought they would have like School of Rock Presents type things.
Yeah, so like his shows haven't even been in where he goes to school. They've been in other cities around here. And so yeah, it's funny. He played his very first club show was at a club in Denton that I never even played.
Uh-oh. Well, I think we're frozen a little bit. Hopefully it'll straighten itself out. We've had some freezing issues. You know, when you go live on the internet, this happens. So we'll see if we can get that. I think we're coming around. I think it's gonna happen. You know, speaking of
old virtual studio thing, too many plugins to make those cars look real.
You know, speaking of Frozen, Jaret did a cover of the song from Frozen. What's the song from Frozen?
Let It Go.
Let It Go. What an amazing cover of that song. And he's back. He's no longer frozen.
I'm back. Sorry, I turned off the for some reason I was on the School of Rock internet. I turned that off.
Okay.
All right. I think
Okay.
we're good now.
We're back. We're
Is that
good to
okay?
go. Yeah,
Yep,
no, you're good. Yeah.
yeah, we're good. That was fun. We started talking about the Frozen song that actually we were listening to Friday night. I think
that great cover you did with what was it? Punk Rock. What's the name of the band? I'm sorry, Punk Rock Academy or something? Punk Rock Factory.
Punk Rock Factory. Yeah. It sounds like it's still a bad connection. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, okay. We got you. Okay.
Oh, I'm just closing everything out.
Yep.
This is an adventure.
But no, anyway, check out that Punk Rock Factory song. Jaret is singing. Yeah, it's
for some reason that song came up in conversation on Friday, and Jaret was talking to someone else about it, and played it, and I was like, "Yep, I've heard that."
We've got dueling Jaret screens here. Hold on, let me see if I can.
Man, I hate when
there we
people
go.
do this to me. Okay, I'm back.
He's back.
Sorry,
Third time's a charm. That's what I've always heard, right? Or fourth, if it has to be four.
We'll just do it as many times as we have
right.
to.
Yeah,
whatever it takes. Right.
All right, you can hear us now. We're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, we were just talking about that Frozen song that came up in conversation on Friday, and you were asking if you asked us if we had heard it, and Justin was bringing it up.
Yeah,
it's a great version of the song.
I was really asking if my friend's daughters had heard it because I was showing off a little bit.
Oh, that's it.
My vocal prowess, But but yeah, that was a fun one. Those guys. I mean, I did a lot of stuff like that over the pandemic. Just being on lockdown. I tried to do as many things to just keep myself busy as possible, and that was a really good one. I had a lot of fun with that one.
Is that another one of those where you basically recorded it in your own studio and sent them the files and they mixed it in?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much do that with everything now. I mean, those guys are really, really proficient. In fact, they've asked me to do two things since then, and they'll just be like, "Here's the deadline," and I won't make it by the deadline, and then they'll just go, "All right, sorry," and they just move on without me. Like, I was like, I've never in my entire musical career worked with another band, organization, label, anything where they were just like, "This is the day, and you have to have it by this day." Normally it's like, "This is the day, and then we'll give you about 6 weeks, after this." And so those guys are like, they really are an actual factory.
A factory, as I say the same thing. Yeah.
They literally just pump it out all. I mean, they already have. I mean, they're releasing 2-3 albums a year. It's nuts. And so yeah, I missed the opportunity of sing on their cover in 1985, and now I missed the opportunity of they're doing like movie soundtrack songs, and so I was supposed to sing on one of those, and just couldn't get to it. I don't beat myself up over it. I mean, as you know, Jason, I tend to overextend myself, and that's sort of what keeps me going. I just constantly I'm chasing the rabbit, so to speak.
Right.
And so I've just kind of stopped saying yes to stuff now. Like I'm just like, if I'd rather just disappoint you at the front and say, hey, I'm just not gonna say anything because I'm just gonna end up disappointing you, like I have most of the women in my life, And so I just said
it's
no.
funny because you who were you telling? I think you were telling Kevin Fowler on Friday that like when you have downtime, you just start another band, which is what you did essentially.
Yeah, I mean it's not far off. I mean, I've done it so many times. I had people on vacation, and Jaret is still a thing that we still talk about doing. Me and Kelly, Jaret and Kelly is a thing that we still talk about doing, and of course, never really to the extent of what we're doing with Jaret Ray Reddick. I mean,
right.
I feel like this thing is probably, as I told you, I have sort of like a short-term and long-term goal, and in the next 12 months, I hope that we're like an actual like existing thing and like firing on all cylinders, and so yeah, it's a passion project sort of turned into it's going exactly the way that I hoped it would.
Yeah, so we've got the album there that's Just Woke Up, came out in March. So you talked about things you did during the pandemic. Was one of those work on this album?
Yeah, a friend of mine from the band, who I know you guys know, that's four. The third one off too. The Zach Malloy, who is in the band The Dixons, but also lives in Nashville and has become a really amazing songwriter there, and someone who stays busy doing that. And he knew I talked about doing a country record for a long time, and I had, it's there's so many things that these ideas in the back of my head, like for these projects that don't happen. And I think that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing, during the pandemic, I stopped doing certain things. Like I don't manage bands anymore. I don't produce other bands. I don't write for other bands anymore for the most part. Those are just things where it was just like, it's just time. And it's, for the most part, I don't really get much out of it. And so he hit me up and was just like, you just made this is our first year. And so we're going into the second year of the thing. And he's just, you made a new Bowling for Soup record, and you've been talking about doing this country record for way too long. Let's just do it. And so we wrote that record. We wrote Just Woke Up together in about 3 weeks over text message, which is the first time I've ever wrote a record like that. Just sitting back, lyric ideas, and it's just, our whole chat was just voice recording, lyric, voice recording, lyric. And I would drag everything into a Google folder. And so that there was literally like just a record of each song and how it built upon itself. And at the end of it, they were just all done. And so it was very, it was really fun. I mean, and it was kind of one of those things where something would hit you, in the middle of the day, and you just write it down and send it, and then it's just there. And so yeah, and then he produced the record, got some players to play on it there in Nashville, and they recorded 12 songs in one day, which is insane. And I sang it in a couple of days, and as you said, it came out in March, and seems to be doing very well. We've released a couple of singles that have both done really, really well in Texas, and it seems to, all the numbers are going up every day. And I have to sort of jump off and go do Bowling for Soup every once in a while, and so that I can afford to keep funding this machine. But we're having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's like a passion project at this point. You're just trying to get it off the ground, essentially. We haven't really.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's again, just how and I'm sorry I cut you off. I think there's a little delay, but it's like the way that the band came together. I was just like, I went and I did this record, and then I knew Keith because he had come on the Movies podcast a few times, and I just loved him. And I was just like, hey, I'm gonna make a country album, and I think I'm gonna start a band. You want to just be in my band? And so he was there. I started sending him songs as soon as they were recorded. And then there was Rob was just like, I want to be in your band. And so he's going to play bass. And then Ryan, our guitar player, was Sean, my producer on the podcast stuff, and who helps us with social media and all the projects and stuff, was like, if you ever start a country band, you got to get Ryan Kirkland. So I was just like, yeah, okay. Ryan, so here's the songs or whatever. Never met and talked about it or anything. And then Jason hit me up one time on Instagram and was just like, hey, if you ever need a fiddle player, LOL. And I was like, hey, I actually do. I have a show coming up at Green Hall. You want to just come play Green Hall with me? And so, but then we met and obviously became very fast friends. And then everybody met, and we just have a vibe already. Like it feels like we've been a band for 2 years for me, when we're all together and everybody's just cutting up and hanging out. And so I feel like that's part of what's driving the passion behind all of it too, is just like, it just makes sense. Like everything is just coming together so well. It'd be a shame not to really give this a shot.
Yeah. I just want to say I pointed this, or we talked about this this past weekend, but I think that Friday's show was by far like the most happy Keith has been back there on them drums. And maybe it's because he had his vodka drinks.
Yeah.
I don't know. But he was enjoying the hell out of himself. Like he was singing along with everything. And I would just, every time I'd look up, he was looking back there, just a big ass smile on his face.
He looked comfortable. He really did.
Yeah.
He just, and I think, for him, there's a lot of pressure. I think there's a lot of pressure being the drummer of a band that doesn't rehearse, in my opinion, because, everything's kind of on him. Like if he doesn't hit a transition, everybody knows. If one of us doesn't hit a transition, we just slide to the next fret, and it's fine. I mean, I forgot a couple of lyrics, and we're probably the only ones beside my wife and a couple of friends that even know, that I messed up a couple of lyrics. But for him, he's definitely just sort of out there, and he felt very comfortable, and just everybody, our show with Kevin Fowler was at Legacy Hall. And just we're becoming a force, that's for sure.
That was a cool place. I mean, I've never been there before, but every pretty much every moment of this whole thing has been like very surreal to me. So like I'm sitting there on the couch and we're hanging out. I mean, first of all, I'm sitting there hanging out and shooting the shit with with Jaret and Rob from Bowling for Soup. and then in walks Kevin Fowler, and he's like, just jumps right into whatever part of the conversation. He's like, oh yeah, hey, I'm Kevin, and it's like, that's Kevin Fowler.
It's a different degree of like stuff that I don't take for granted, for sure, but just a part of like normal life is like stuff. So there's like this there's sort of these levels of like where Rob, who's in Bowling for Soup now, but he's been in Bowling for Soup since like 2018. And so he still has these moments where it's just like, holy crap, like who are we talking to? What's going on? Where are we going? Like that kind of thing. And so from your eyes, it took me, I have to sort of like think about it. Like when you came, we did our show in Houston, and then you came with us to Lubbock, and stood side stage to watch the Toadies and just hanging out in the dressing room with Chris Burney, and and then you're just like, this is the best weekend of my life, and I'm just like, oh, that's fucking great. I mean, I just love it. That stuff makes me very, very happy.
I've told the story several times where we're standing there in in that room back there backstage in Lubbock, and Chris was sitting over there on the couch, and you're like I took it to me like, that's Chris over there. Like this, like a joke. And then Chris is holding the koozies, and you're like, hey Chris, why don't you give Jason those koozies?
He is a he's just one of those guys where if he likes you, you just know instantly. And just the fact that you sat and just talked to him or whatever. And again, it's not that he doesn't like anybody. It's just he's very happy in himself and what he's doing and his life, and so you knew he was having a really good day when because he doesn't always go out and watch the other bands and stuff like that. He just, kind of, so going out and watching the Toadies and stuff was, he was having a heck of a day. Yeah.
And Gary got out there and played with him.
Yeah, he did.
Played the drums.
Gary, I think Gary, that was a little funny because Gary doesn't normally do that kind of thing. But I think the fact that if he wasn't going to do it, me or Rob were for sure going to go out there and do it. And I think there was a little bit of pressure for him to go out there and do it. And it's funny. It's like there's some video that I posted on Instagram, on my Instagram, if you want to go see my reels. It's Jaret 2113, but I posted Gary doing it, and it's like about halfway through he starts doing all these moves and tricks, and like he really started to get into it. But Gary's not in this for the flash. Like he doesn't really want to be a rock star. He loves being in this band and loves us and stuff, but like, he wears his hair normal and pretty much dressed as normal most part. When we get home, he's a realtor, and none of the rest of us do anything normal, you know. So, you know, he's happy. I'll tell you a funny thing about Gary. He's always been the least recognizable of us. And I think sometimes it's bothered him in the past where, like, you know, someone will hand him the camera to take pictures of us with them or whatever.
Gosh. Yeah.
But when we're going through a mob or something and we're hungover or tired or whatever, the rest of us get stopped and he gets to keep walking. I think it makes up for it because he basks in that sometimes of just like, yeah, sorry about you guys. I'm gonna go take a shower. You guys stand out here in the cold.
I seem to remember, like, you know, back in the day, you know, many years ago, that he would hardly ever say anything on stage.
Right. Yeah.
You would kind of have to like set him up to get him to even say anything.
Well, he doesn't have a mic, and so he actually does now. What's funny is, so we have a system where we can talk to each other, but nobody can hear us, and so he can sort of like. Sometimes they're talking and like while I'm talking to the audience, and it's actually, I feel like I'm on CNN, like a reporter or something. You know, they constantly have stuff going and they have to learn to just drown it out but also process it. But yeah, now that we do things like the joke and stuff like that, but I started very early, like just throwing him under the bus and just handing him the microphone for something like, Gary, why don't you tell everybody how your weekend was? And then just hand him the mic and he'll just, you know, and he's very quick-witted. So it's fun to have in there. But we really never gave him a mic because there's just so much already happening. Like Chris and Rob talk over each other all the time, just like Chris and Eric did. And it's already just so much chatter. I don't think we need another person adding to it.
Well, he does get to tell his joke. He does get to
tell his joke, and he wins. You know, I'd say 90% of the time he wins because, and we analyze this, you know, backstage. Just what do you think it is? And it's just because people don't ever hear him talk. So, and he gets the last joke. So, I think there's a thing where people are just really like, "Holy crap!"
Uh-oh.
Holy crap, we lost him. Holy crap, we
lost him again. Yeah.
No, I'm back. Sorry, my wife called. Hopefully she doesn't. I had it on Do Not Disturb, but anyway, she's fine.
Yeah. So, a little bit ago, Jason mentioned how surreal it is to be like in your band. And, you know, it's surreal for me too, because me and Jason have been fans of your band for 20 years. We've been Bowling for Soup fans. And
thanks, man.
Literally 20 years ago, I took this photo of you and Jason. Let me cue it up here.
I love it. It's so great.
So
we've changed a little bit over the years. Just a little bit.
Yeah. God, I probably wouldn't even be able to get that shirt around my head now. You know, it's I still have it though, just in case I ever lose a bunch of weight.
But I mean, it is really like I've seen y'all played about 5 or 6 shows here in Texas, and I've seen 2 of them in person, and the shows are great. And like I told Jason, I said, I'm looking at you, Jaret, on the stage, and then I pan over and I see Jason, and it's like it's still just like this like crazy thing that it's happening. And you know, because your band has meant a lot to us for the last 20 years. I mean, the name of our podcast is Let's Freaking Do This. That's a line in Let's Go to the Pub. And I think it's a line you've used in other stuff because it's kind of like your kind of, I felt like it was kind of like your moniker, or not your moniker, but your like motto or something. So like,
I think it's in Here's Your Freaking Song.
Also, okay.
And it's definitely in a few things. Let's freaking do this.
Yeah.
I should probably just write that song, you know?
Right.
Then it could be our theme song. There
exactly. You'd have a theme song.
We would definitely appreciate that. But no, like we've, you know, like just real quick, I discovered Bowling for Soup in like about 2000. We lived near Abilene, and y'all were doing an in-studio appearance at the rock station there, Rock 108.
KEYJ.
There you go. You knew it.
Was it with Frank Payne?
I think it was.
It would have been with Dave Andrews or Frank
Dave.
Payne. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Dave Andrews.
Yeah.
So that I remember I was just like I was outside all day. I was mowing the lawn, and they were like hyping that y'all were going to be on the show. I'd never heard of the band. listened to your in studio thing. I thought it was amazing. I think Let's Do It for Johnny was out at that time or about to be out. So I went and got that. And I just like forced Jason to listen to it. Not that he didn't like it, but like I made him become a fan of the band. And so
I didn't know it. I had never heard of Bowling for Soup at the time.
Yeah, we were very much, I mean, you know, Let's Do It for Johnny. You know, you got to think for us, you know, we were a bar band in Texas, you know, from 94 until, you know, whenever. I mean, we were going out and venturing out and touring and trying and doing all these things, but we got signed in 99. But even that first record, the only places we drew were here. So Abilene was a really big deal for us. San Angelo, Corpus, San Antonio, Wichita Falls, you know, all the places. And so we didn't have national exposure yet, even with that first major label record, because the bitch song wasn't a hit. But in Texas, people thought we were huge, you know. And so it doesn't surprise me that you hadn't really heard of us, because like KEYJ would promote our shows and do a lot of things for us because we had been so friendly with them forever. But it's not like they spun us a lot. You know,
they never played their music. I mean, only when y'all were on there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it wasn't that you wouldn't have really, unless you just happened to catch that or end up at a show, one of our shows. So it doesn't surprise me, is what I'm saying, that you didn't know who we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as fate would have it, after that in summer 2000, I went to North Texas, which is in Denton, which was kind of y'all's home base. So I was seeing y'all play 2 or 3 times every weekend, and Jason was coming up and we were going to shows. We went to shows everywhere. I mean, y'all literally back in the day, didn't y'all play like 300 shows a year or 270? I remember one time there was a number that was thrown out, and I was like,
275. We did 275. We approached 300. Because what we were doing was we were trying to play every day of the week. And then on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, we would try to do in-stores. And so even if we had a show in that town,
I remember that.
The cool thing about that time was that you could go to like a CD warehouse or a Hastings or whatever. You could call ahead and just be like, hey, we're coming through town. Can we just come set up in your store? And why wouldn't they let you, you know? So nobody ever said no. And sometimes those things would be crazy good, you know, like I remember one in Abilene we did before Let's Do It for Johnny. I mean, I think it was when we were releasing Rock on Honorable Ones, or maybe even Tell Me When to Whoa, but because we were doing those back then too. But I remember, you know, 120, 150 people at some of those things, which, you know, that would sell us 100 CDs for. So, you know, those days are crazy because we did 20,000 copies of Rock on Honorable Ones out of the back of the van. We did 12,000 of Tell Me When to Whoa, and only stopped because we had to when we made the record, when we made Let's Do It for Johnny. So, yeah, a lot of shows. I mean, we hit it really hard. We didn't say no to anything. So like, stuff would just happen. Like we would play a show and some guy would be like, what are y'all doing tomorrow? And we'd be like, well, we have a show tomorrow night. Well, I'm having a party in my backyard. Y'all want to come play tomorrow afternoon? We sure do. and there we'd be. And the bar days had really, really turned us into something to where we could adapt to any crowd too. So like we knew 60 or 70 cover songs that we could play that sounded like Bowling for Soup, but it was like Elvis or Buddy Holly or whatever. But we did them in the same style as us. So it would sound almost like the Ramones doing a cover of something. And so people who didn't like this kind of music that didn't exist in Texas, by the way, just loved it. It just sounded like we were like a train beat, you know, like, you know, sort of new wave band or something. And so, yeah, it was pretty easy for us to stay super, super busy, you know, especially once we, you know, me and Eric were able to quit our jobs. And, you know, Lance at the time, who was playing drums for us, had a very, very flexible schedule. Chris, very, very flexible. So, you know, they could leave for 2-3 weeks. And, you know, in essence is what really, once we got really, really busy, 98, 99 is when Lance was like, yeah, this is not for me. You know, he'd already met the girl that he was going to marry. I mean, they're like empty nesters now. Like they did it, you know, and he's the only one to, well, no, I guess Gary is on that train, but anyway, I digress. But yeah, a lot of shows.
Yeah. And you talk about never saying no, including you never said no to an aspiring journalist in North Texas who was able to write a story for you for your hometown paper that turned out being the whole section cover, which blew me away. And then you gave me like the entire, I went to sound check with y'all and like hung out the whole day. Basically we played Golden Tee at that, I think it's the Groovy Mule or wherever it was in Denton.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all that. And I just want to thank you again for all that. Yeah.
I remember that, but I've never put that together. That was you. That is crazy. Yep. Yeah. No, I remember that because it was, it was like, we just, because I think you wanted to come in to load in and sound check and just see it all. Right.
Yeah.
And it, okay. Come on, whatever. We don't do that anymore for insurance purposes, but it's like if you would have sued us back then, we'd have just been like, yeah, all right, I don't know what we're gonna.
I remember I was in there and I was standing around doing nothing, and so I was like, can I help y'all move stuff? Because I felt so awkward just standing there waiting, because we were waiting to like sit down and talk. So
yeah,
I kind of helped out, and then I think finally you're like, hey, like don't worry about that. We have people. We do that. Like.
You know what's funny? I don't remember if I am making this up because just like my memory's playing tricks or whatever. But you had a recording of the whole conversation on like one of those little
mini discs. I have no idea where it is.
Whatever the hell it is, and I remember hearing it, and I think that was captured on the audio, like where you were like offering to help move stuff.
Right. So silly, but
yeah,
really appreciate it. Yeah,
I would have definitely been like. Because that happens all the time, Well, dude, that is super cool. I'm really glad that we put that together.
Yeah, and then later on, just to finish up my story with Bowling for Soup, I would always like, there's the course 2113. It's in all your social media tags, and one of your hit songs, one of the early hit songs.
Yeah,
and there's a part where it says "I'm just a boy." In this song, there's a line, and so I would just like jokingly say I'm a Justin Boyd. And Jason picked up on that. He told you we went to a show in Fort Worth, which is actually on my birthday. And on my birthday, you sang that and pointed at me in the crowd, and like the crowd was laughing. Everybody's having a good time. Again, these are like crazy moments that I'll never forget. So once again, thank you.
Yeah, it's first of all, it makes me so happy, and I'm so glad to me, like those kind of stories, I have those, like where I went to see bands and they treated me in a way to where I'm like, I'm going to remember that forever, or, whatever that moment was, what they said on stage, or they pointed at me or said something or whatever, I've always really, really tried to make sure that I am aware of everyone around me and know that like, however I leave the conversation or even the room or whatever, that like, that it's a positive thing for them. So I appreciate, that I was able to do that. And again, I was really lucky when I was a kid. There was a club that would have bands from Dallas come play like Friday and Saturday night, and then they would stay and do a matinee show on Sunday. And so I got to see all these bands that, went on to do nothing, but Pantera was one of them. And, still when they were still glam metal. And, like they were always so nice, and, like but I can remember those conversations and just the ones that really put the effort into it. And so I'm glad that your history with me is all good. What's funny though, again, I have a pretty insane memory, especially about shows.
Yeah.
And so I remember all of these things, but it doesn't always like compute and all fit together.
Yeah. You see a million people. I totally understand. It's just like, you've always been super cool to me and really anybody I've ever been around. So like, I just appreciate that. I mean, Bowling for Soup, full disclosure, my favorite band without a doubt. And you've got a fan for life. So
thank you, man.
We were talking about this a little bit this past weekend, and it's just kind of the way that you present, like you said, you do it on purpose. Like you're making a positive impression. And I think that's one of the things really, like just people just go away feeling like, I mean, like that cover that was, I'm sure you probably didn't come up with the byline that was on there, Justin, but it's like said something like ordinary guys doing cool things or whatever. And it's like people just kind of, everybody just feels like, oh yeah, that's Jaret. He's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you know,
our very first like slogan was Bowling for Soup, Neato and nice guys. And that was it, you know?
There you go.
And you know, yeah, and I think also just our relationship as a band has made it to where it's been super easy that no egos have really been able to, you know, to get up. I mean, I'll admit there's certain things that I don't do now, that I would have used to have done. I mean, you know, there's certain, like, maybe it's whatever this interview or whatever it is, or, you know, I don't say yes to everything anymore because I physically can't. Right. But I certainly try. And I certainly, if I am going to do some.
I think we lost him again.
You know, I'm sorry, I dropped out there, but
you're back.
But like, that's including a conversation. It's just like, look, you know, if there's a kid that's standing out there at the bus and I've got the flu and he wants to take a picture, like, I'm going to take the picture and I'm going to smile and I'm going to act like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened because that's important to him, you know? Right. And, you know, that's just, and so that's important to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So Bowling for Soup, you're in year 28, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a pretty big year. How is year 28, and what plans do you have for the future for this band? I mean, y'all just going to keep on going forever, or what's the?
I guess that's the plan. You know, I'm quoted as saying, you know, in my 30s, like, you know, how long are you going to do this? And me saying, well, it's not like I'm going to be standing up here doing fart jokes when I'm 40. And then I said in an article one time, it's not like I'm going to be 50 singing about high school, you know, and here I am. So, you know, the good thing for us is that.
Uh-oh. We're waiting with bated breath for the answer.
The good thing about that is
he's going to come back. Let's see. Well, here we go.
There
he's
you
back
are.
Again.
Hold on.
Yep.
1 second. I think it's going to kick me off one more time and then come back.
Okay.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. No, you're good. You're back.
Well, I think one of the things that's great for us is that there's this whole generation before us that's like still going too. Like, there's like the guys that handed off the Warped Tour torch to us, for example, like Bad Religion and NoFX, which are calling it quits after 40 years. But, you know, okay, so we go 40 years, you know, right. I mean, but Bad Religion is going to make it to 50 before long. And then you got Green Day and Blink, who are, you know, well, Green Day several years before, you know, I think they've got 8 years on us, and Blink is in their 30 somethings, and, you know, Less Than Jake is 30. And so it's not that out of the ordinary for us to keep going. Yeah. You know, that's the thing. So, well, I think as long as we can do it and be happy and we're still good, you know, I'll be honest, you know, like I think a lot of it is the music, and not just the show, but I think the show is very important too. But if I didn't think the last album that we just did, Pop Drunk Snot Bread, if I didn't think that album was stellar, then I probably wouldn't have the motivation that I do to really, really, really keep going for it. And I think Bowling for Soup, as well as Jaret Ray Reddick, are in for a really, really good 2023. I mean, we're both kind of poised and set there. And I'm not talking about myself in the third person. Jaret Ray Reddick is the band.
Right.
And
exactly.
Jason's in it. You know, but so I think, you know, we just have good things on the horizon. We have amazing festivals coming, you know, if you keep up with Bowling for Soup, you know, Slam Dunk, and then we just announced Slam Dunk Italy. We're doing a huge thing in Austria. We've never even been there. And then there's When We Were Young, which we will have like
oh my God.
we're supposed to have like an amazing spot on that. And there's talk of our summer touring, which won't be as extensive as it was last year. That was a lot for us. But it'll be something, 3 or 4 weeks along the way. And if it's what I hope it's going to be massive. And so I think, that's enough for me for Bowling for Soup, and then we're talking about a couple of different things that not necessarily a new album, but as far as music is concerned, we'll probably make that decision on this trip that we're about to go on and start to move closer to that. But the second Greatest Hits is going to come out soon, actually. So, and that's the next 6 years. So it'd be years 11 through 17.
Okay.
No, that's terrible math.
No.
Anyway, I don't know when it is, but
it's volume 2, right? The songs that people actually liked, or whatever was the name of the first one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay.
songs people actually like volume 2, but it's got like all of the hits from like Hangover, from Burrito, and then it gets into like No Hablo Inglés, and it's so
Right.
it's like, so we did the first 10 years that it was, so we couldn't actually do 10 more years because there's too many singles or hits in quotes.
Yeah.
And so we just did, and plus it's just funny to go the next 6 years,
Right.
I think that's funny. But yeah, so lots of plans, and I'm hoping that you guys and me will be sharing a lot of beers during all that.
Very
Well,
cool.
I'll have you know that I have applied for and am awaiting my my passport. So
Yeah, I started talking, Justin, to somebody that I haven't really told. I think I've hinted at it with you guys, but we have a possibility of something pretty big in the summer for the country band, but it would, it's going to require some international stuff, and I'm excited about it because I know like Jason, for example, has not seen a lot of the world, and so
Right.
to be like, all right, we're gonna play in 6 different countries, like that kind of stuff makes me really happy. Where Rob and I will just be like, oh Jesus Christ, we gotta go to do this
Again.
this. It's like, fuck, not that country again. But it'll be good. I'm excited about it, and again, I think everything is just going great.
Yeah, your guitar player Ryan Kirkland, he's happy about that news too.
He is a oh, there he is.
Yeah, he's in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, he man, all of these guys, again, it's just such a, I don't know, man, there's something magical about this unit that is all an accident, and maybe that's part of it. It's just a lot of leaps of faith. I was telling somebody, I was doing an interview and telling them about, the start of the band, and they're like, man, that is a lot of leaps of faith. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, we could have done something and I could have been like, okay, well, that was fun. We're not going to do that with you anymore. But luckily I didn't mean to, it's like,
I could, like, the whole thing with me could have been a whole train wreck. Like, you didn't know me from Adam. It could have been. Right?
Which I told you, that's why I didn't originally. I had him coming in for a rehearsal, and I'm like, I'm gonna get you a hotel room, because I'm not gonna bring you back to my fucking house, or like I have that's it's a thing. But we had talked enough that I'm just like, all right, fuck it, you can just come stay at our house.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that Casey, my wife, didn't know that story until later. You had already stayed at the house that time and maybe another time or whatever before she's just like, oh, you didn't even know him? No, I didn't even fucking know him. Like, never even saw the guy. Like, obviously I'd met you at Bowling for Soup shows, but I'm like, I've never sat and talked to this guy about like what we're doing. And but it worked out just fine.
Yeah, I was thinking about it the other day, and I think I said something to the effect of like all these. I'm really grateful for these opportunities that I'm having this year, and all I had to do was spend decades learning like 5 different instruments.
Well, it's I mean, Rob and I are just well, with both, I think all of you, but Rob and I just bask in you and Ryan, and just because Ryan, like, it sounds exactly like the album, no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it
It's
is. Yep.
I can't imagine like what if once we turn him loose, like what's going to happen. And then we're just, I can't even put into words how we feel about you too. Cause it's like, you're just, I called him one day, Justin, and I go, hey man, so I think Royal Family is going to be the next single. And it just sounds really good with the banjo. So what do you think? It's this ever evolving thing where I have this banjo that
weighs like 40 pounds or something.
Maybe more.
Like,
maybe
it's
more.
ridiculous. You could kill somebody with that thing.
Yeah. And he's just like, well, let me see. The next thing you know, he's like, hey, I got a banjo. I just got to teach myself how to play it. And then he's like playing it at the next gig. And now he's got a banjo. And like, it's just, and he definitely, you're just, it was, I think it was just meant to be, as cliche as that sounds, I just feel like maybe Justin, you dragging this kid to his first Bowling for Soup show and, and
literally I did, like, the first time I was like, you gotta come to this damn show. You just have to, because I'd already seen him like 3 or 4 times. I was like, you're missing out. Like, you're just missing out.
That was exactly what happened. And I got to tell you, I had listened to the songs before we went to the show.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, it's okay, whatever. Yeah. But it's that like you said, it's that show. It's the performance. It's the show.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap. And then from then on, it was like, here. Let me see my
shirt. That's old school. And I think you guys are a perfect example, and our hardcore fan base, they will go to 14 out of 16 shows on a tour,
right?
And you guys can attest to this. It's like, why would you do that? And the only thing that I can say is that we've always prided ourselves on is you're not going to see the same thing. Like,
right.
Like, it's never going to be the same. So maybe sometimes
different jokes.
Maybe it's the same songs. Maybe it's this or whatever. But like the banter stuff it will never be the same,
Yep.
And
I'm showing a picture here from Warped Tour.
Warped Tour.
This is Warped Tour 2017. We went and saw y'all in San Antonio and Houston back-to-back days. This San Antonio date, what I'm showing that right now, was one of the hottest days of life. It was
it was never hotter than that anywhere on the planet.
The show was like where the Spurs play, like in their parking lot, and it was like this blacktop, and it was the hottest time I've ever had in my whole life. And it's funny because this show, I went to the meet and greet after to see y'all and get a picture, and I had everybody autograph the 23 when you were celebrating your 23rd year of Bowling for Soup. So I had everyone autograph it. And then the next day I saw you in Houston, and I presented the same shirt, and you're like, dude, we already signed it. And I was like, well, sign the other side. And so I have your autographs on both sides of that shirt. So anyway.
And look, I'm standing there next to Rob.
What's great about this? Here's what's great about this photo and that day. The reason Rob is in that photo is because Gary's wife was going into labor. And so Gary couldn't do the second half. That's the day that Mia Wiseman was born. We had just found that out. So as you're standing there taking that picture, when we were walking to that meet and greet, his daughter was born.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that. There was a reason why Gary wasn't there. And Rob,
Yeah, look at Rob. I used to hate how Rob did photo shoots. Look at him, just standing there like he's at attention or something. Anyway.
He was new to it at that point, right? So
and now me and Rob are bestest of friends.
Yeah, you guys are buddies. He was new to the thing. Well, that was his first stint with us. So that you said that's 2017, right?
Yes, sir. Yep. 2017.
So really, he didn't stop playing with us after that, because that's when Eric went on as it went off. Took some time off a little bit after that, and so he was just filling in for Eric. And that went into that next Warped Tour, and then it was soon after that he was just in the band.
Yeah.
And so, gosh, that's crazy. That's 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Time is a ridiculous thing.
Flat circle
goes.
It certainly is.
A little bit ago, Jaret, you referenced Royal Family, which is one of the new tracks on your your Just Woke Up album.
Yeah.
The album is dedicated. You have a little note on there. It says the album is dedicated to the sisters I never knew I had and the brothers that I did.
Yeah.
And I know you kind of give a brief story on stage, but
Mhm.
could you give us that story? Because I think it's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with my brother. We were adopted by the man that we call our dad. But I actually did not know who my biological father was. I won't get into really a lot of details about that, but
Yeah.
it's for whatever reason I was unaware. And I actually thought we had the same dad for a large part of my life, and then didn't realize that was not right. But anyway, I had kind of dug around and gotten a little close a time or two, but never really followed through. And then one day I get a message from my now sister Lori that says, "Hey, I think I'm your cousin." And then there's another message right after that. "No, I actually think you're my brother." And so years go by of us just kind of trying to figure out this dynamic, and I was pretty skeptical at first, just because I had a good childhood, and my relationship with my dad, who raised me, is good, and I just didn't really know what the right thing to do would be. But fast forward now, I've got 3 older sisters and a bunch of awesome nephews and nieces, and I love them so much. And we try and get together when we can, but obviously they're in Oklahoma, and I just live especially COVID happened, and now it's like me catching up from COVID, so I wasn't able to do Thanksgiving. I won't be able to see them on Christmas, but we figure it out as best we can. But yeah, and my brother actually got to meet them a couple of summers ago, and so that was really cool. And so yeah, I that song puts a lot of things into perspective, as far as like we sort of choose who our family is. I mean, there are people that you're related to, that you sort of have to call your family. You don't really. I'm very the last several years for me, toxicity has become something that I try to just avoid, and just try and keep the people in my life that add joy, and love, and those things. Again, I realize that's super cheesy, but it really is how I function. And those people are my sisters and my brother, and my kids and my wife, and uh, my band. And there's a line in there that says, you know, here's to the sisters I never knew I had and the brothers that I did, to driving all night, waking up in the van. We didn't do it for the fans, and we didn't. We weren't doing this to make it. We were literally just doing it because it was like, this is what we're doing. We're together in this, and we're surviving. And if we make it, we make it, whatever. But this is the best time of our lives, and we knew it. Like, we knew it. Look, by 2 years in, we were like, this is it. This is the best thing we're ever gonna do. And now it's been 28 years, and we still say it all the time. So
yeah,
I know how lucky I am, and that's partially what that song's about.
Yeah, it's a great song. You definitely made it. No doubt about that.
Yeah, I definitely made it. And I'm certainly, not going to say I didn't, because I think there comes a point in everybody's, there comes a point in your career where you have to just go, okay, well, we goddamn did it. So, what's next? Let's start another band and do it again. Whee!
Yeah. So now you're off to conquer country music. So here we go.
We're going to conquer country music. Yes. And I think we've got a good head start, and I'm excited. So thank you guys for helping me spread the word.
Of course. Yeah. Let's plug some upcoming shows real quick. So you're going to be heading to the UK. You got some Bowling for Soup stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Very soon.
Next week, right?
Yeah.
Or this week.
Hell, this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
This weekend. Yeah. So I think they start Friday, Saturday, and then Monday. We're doing Belfast, we're doing Dublin, and then Torquay is our last and final makeup show from the pandemic. So we've rescheduled that 3 times, I think. But here we go. We're going to finally do that. And then we're staying. And, the cool thing about country music is that when you're in a pinch, you can put a band together to kind of just help you get through it. And band called Gasoline and Matches that we've known for a year or two has agreed to open up for us and be the rest of the band. Rob and me will stay there, and so they will be. We don't have a Jason in this band. We've got a guitar player and we've got a drummer, and then we're actually going to try a pedal steel player for the first time. So Jason, that might be next, bud.
Oh boy.
His 18th instrument. Yeah,
I can do it.
But yeah, and then Thomas Ian Nicholas is with us on all of the shows. So as most people know, Thomas and I are oil and oil. So I'm hoping we come out of this alive. But it's gonna be.
I know.
It's gonna be real
So I know, Jaret, you got to go, but like I was gonna mention right quick this story about Tom, because you told me like that whole day. I came to your house and we were gonna do the video shoot the next day, and you kept telling me that you was like, brace yourself, like when Tom gets here, it's literally gonna be like a rocket or whatever.
Yeah, he's shot out of a cannon, and we realized it right when we met, and then what happened, Jason?
He literally so as soon as he arrives, I didn't even know he was there, and then I look up and he's running like through the house and out the door and does a cannonball into the pool. So he was literally shot out of a cannon at that moment.
And right now, for those who are watching, you're seeing Thomas Ian Nicholas from the video "Drunk as It Takes." Oh, you're back. Okay. Yeah.
Everett just finished School of Rock, but I'll tell you one more story about him before we split. I got to get this kid home and fed. But
yeah, we understand. Yep.
Hey, Everett.
The funny thing is when we actually had asked Tom to be on Jaret Goes to the Movies and to do an episode of that, and Thomas had declined and said, no, I would talk about one of my new movies, but I'm really trying to move on, past that point of my life or whatever. And so and talk about that or my music. And of course I understand that, but I'm also an entertainer. And so I got on that episode without him. And of course, just like this guy, and like he just wants to talk about this and, F this guy, yada, yada. And I had a lot of fun with it. And so what's funny is then it comes back around and it's like, hey, this kid, Thomas Ian Nicholas, wants to come and do American Pie live. and I go, oh, yeah, that'd be great. We'll do it or whatever. But I had no idea what it was going to be like when the dude walked. Well, no, I tell you what it was, is that so I knew that he was coming, but we got him on my podcast that's still going called Rockstar Dad Show. We got him to be on that as a promo to the event, and I just love the guy. And I'm just like,
I think we lost him one more time. Maybe it's coming back. Maybe it's coming back. We can say goodbye if he comes back.
Yep.
I think it's coming back. Come on, StreamYard. Still frozen.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Look.
There you're back. You're back. You're back.
I just turned the internet off and back on, and it.
Okay, there we go.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
But anyway, I just fell in love with the guy, and he came in, and of course, like instantly, we were just two peas in a pod, and so it's been great. He's done a cover of 1985 that I produced. We've written a song, and but yeah, he's in our video called Drunk as It Takes. He did a really, really great job. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. And then our band will be back next year, and lots and lots of fun stuff.
Well, we're looking forward to
people in Texas. December 10th, we will be at Top Golf in the Colony for a Texas Rangers charity show. Go to bowlingforsoup.com for information on that. And then the week of Christmas, I'm doing a acoustic show in Louisville, Texas, at T's Bar and Grill, which I've never even been there. I've heard it's great. And I'll be doing country, Bowling for Soup, surprises, this, same kind of thing that I just did in Denton, sold out show last month. So everybody, you can find that on JaretRayReddick.com. And, I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you very much, Jaret. Have a good night. Be careful driving home.
Hey, Justin, I'm going to do the thing that you said not to do. I'm actually going to hang up.
Yep.
Go for it. Yeah.
But leave this in You
We
know,
will.
they said I
No,
should stay for the outro, but y'all can talk about me after I'm gone.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about you a little bit. So
All right. Thanks,
be
Jaret.
careful. Thanks again.
Bye, y'all.
Good night. Bye
See ya.
bye. So that was Jaret Ray Reddick. He's
Ray
awesome.
Reddick.
Before we go, let's talk about a couple things we weren't able to talk about. And he briefly touched on the Drunk as It Takes video, which Jason, you actually got to be a part of. So first off, tell us the experience of being in a music video with your like rock star hero, who's now your band leader, and what it was like meeting the guy from American Pie and Rookie of the Year.
It's like I was mentioned earlier, like every moment with this entire experience has been surreal. I showed up. So the whole thing was we were gonna film that Monday morning, and I was like, well, it's gonna be early, so I'm just gonna come down Sunday. And then I was like, I think Jaret was talking about like having everybody come over to like watch football or whatever. So like, okay, well, I'll just come early. So I came up just like, I think I got there right as the games kind of got kicked off, because the Cowboys and the were playing like the Jets, I think. And it was like the Steelers. I can't remember who the Steelers were playing, but they're both playing. So we had two TVs going on. So I came up early. I can't even remember. I think we ate, but I can't remember what we ate. Anyway, we ate, and it was already October, so it was a little chilly. But Jaret's pool's heated, so we spent like 12 hours in the pool. And that whole story about Tom showing up, like that was towards the end of the night. Like he flew in that night and took an Uber and got to the house, and then literally ran from the, like, I guess he must have come in and changed in the bathroom, and then it like ran from the bathroom out the door and jumped in the pool. But it's just pretty weird, pretty wild. I mean,
He's the guy from American Pie. Let's just,
Yeah.
like you told me, you're like, he bought your coffee or something, or you bought his coffee or vice versa. Like,
yeah.
what a crazy story. Yeah.
And it was funny because I didn't realize until we were hanging out that night and talking about random stuff. He was talking about something, and he said something about, he went to some kind of, it was like a Comic-Con type thing, but not, it was like for horror movies. It was like Fright something or whatever. And I was like, and I asked him, I was like, so why did you do that? And he's like, well, because I was in a Halloween movie. And when he first said that, I'm like, when he said Halloween movie, I'm like, oh, that's like he's in like a Halloween themed movie, like, like a fall, you know what I mean? Like the season of Halloween.
Right.
And he's like, and I was like, oh yeah, what kind of movie were you in? And he's like, oh, Resurrection. And all of a sudden it just like, because so this about me, but obviously not everyone knows this about me.
Right.
Is that I'm a massive Halloween fan, like the franchise Halloween.
Yeah. Michael Myers. Yeah.
Michael Myers. Yeah. Yep. The entire thing. Like my favorite like series of movies, even the corny ones or whatever. And he kind of made some comment about like maybe it wasn't like the greatest film, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I loved it. I was like, that's the one with Busta Rhymes.
It's a classic. Come on.
Yeah, he showed me this artwork that a friend of his or a fan or somebody had made. And it's actually artwork of his death scene in the movie, where Michael Myers, spoiler alert, I guess, for anybody who hasn't seen Halloween Resurrection, which came out like 15 years ago. But Michael Myers kills him by like stabbing him in the top of the head. And so there was this artwork, like a drawing type thing of that scene. And I was like, dude, I need to get that as a tattoo. And I thought about it again while we were just talking about it. It's like, I think I'm going to get that tattooed on me.
And who is your tattoo artist, by the way?
Oh, that'd be Ryan Kirkland.
Okay.
He was on here earlier talking.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if he's still in the chat, but he was so guitar player and a tattoo artist. So
he's great.
Multi-talented.
Yeah.
Something else we didn't get a chance to touch on.
Can't show it that well. I don't know how to do it anyway.
Yeah. No, it looks great though. I saw it in person. So it's a very good ink job. Not that I know anything about tattoos, but it looked cool to me. One cool thing about the album, I mean, there's so many cool things, but there's 2 Bowling for Soup songs that are on this album. Just Woke Up for the Jaret Ray Reddick band. And, you play Ohio, Come Back to Texas, and the Bitch Song. What is it like to play like 2 classic Bowling for Soup songs every time you take the stage now?
So we do usually play 2, but we have never played the Bitch Song. And I think that's because it's generally
because they say bitch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's generally family type audiences. And I think there's a intentionally kind of, well, that may change in the future. I don't know. We're kind of talking about Jaret and I were talking about kind of like what the future holds for kind of the genre, like not genre, but just like what kind of music that he wants to put out, and just like bringing more of his personality into it and everything, and not trying, not that he's trying to be somebody else, but like he doesn't want to put off like he doesn't want to be perceived as being somebody who's putting out something that he's not. So I don't want to speak on his behalf, but anyway, we have never done that song live.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds good as a country song.
I think both of them do. As a longtime fan, I was like, Ohio to me almost works better. I mean, they're great. They're great how they were, but like it works.
Ohio definitely works well because
it sounds so good. Yeah.
Especially with that breakdown at the end. It's perfect setting for like a freaking honky tonk, like where they're singing, everybody's singing along. It's perfect. Yeah.
No, it's a great song. Again, the album was produced by Zach Malloy, who is lead singer of the Nixons, who coincidentally
maybe we'll get him on here sometime.
Yeah, because I think your next show is you're opening for Zach Malloy and the Nixons.
Yeah, that I don't know that that's actually been announced yet, but
strike that.
Strike that from the record.
There might be a show with someone. Yeah, okay.
No, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed, but it hasn't been really discussed. So we'll hear a lot more about those kinds of things.
Yeah. Well, that's very cool if that happens.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, this was great. This was
it was. We appreciate everybody joining us. We're doing some different stuff tonight. We were broadcasting live, not only on YouTube, but also on Twitter and Facebook. Hopefully it worked out okay. I know we've had some technical issues. Obviously, Jaret had some problems, Wi-Fi issues. Hopefully our show is where you can like our voices, the voice and the video is in sync. I'm not sure. Like I said, trying something new. We appreciate all the comments, all the people who joined us to see Jaret. So thanks for watching us. And of course, if you look in the description, if you're watching this on YouTube, we have all of Jaret's links. And Jaret does so much. We didn't even talk about, we talked about a little bit how he's a podcaster, but he's also the voice of Chuck E. Cheese. Like we didn't get into that. Like lead singer Bowling for Soup for 28 years. Now he's got this country album that's, I think it's freaking great. And so check out all things Jaret Ray Reddick at JaretRayReddick.com. And let's see, we should plug our own social media too, because you can find all of Jaret's social handles at his website. But we're also on social media. Surprisingly.
LFDT.
We're on Instagram and Twitter at LFDT Pod. Again, LFDT Pod. LFDT, of course, stands for Let's Freaking Do This.
And who knows how you find us on Facebook? It's just let's freaking do this.
But we're there. We're there. Jason created a few weeks ago. So
yeah, we have 47 followers.
Yeah. But that's better than 0. So anyway, we appreciate everybody for joining us. And once again, thanks to Jaret Ray Reddick for joining us tonight. Jason, any parting words before we get out of here?
No, we didn't talk about Cannibal Corpse, but
we didn't. Well, maybe now you could.
Maybe that's a conversation for a different show.
We got a little bit of time. I'm sure there's some there's some crossover country and Cannibal Corpse. Bowling for Soup.
It's interesting how much there really is. Actually, there's so many people that I've talked to. That are involved in like these honky tonk, bands and whatever. And they're like, yeah, Cannibal Corpse. It's like, okay. Anyway, first time seeing them last night. They were phenomenal, really good. I'll see them any chance I get going forward. I'm sad that I missed out on the first however many 20 years of their existence, but
you were a fan though. You were always a fan.
I was a fan. I was a fan to a certain extent. I just didn't. I didn't listen that much, but over the past 2 years now, like I listen to them a lot. Like I don't know if you saw the whole like the fake festival things. It's basically built off of your listening habits on Spotify, and they were headlining like the main stage. So
Over Bowling for Soup? Come on, man. Like
It was actually. They were headlining the first day. I think it was, I don't remember. It was like Cannibal Corpse on one stage, Jaret Ray Reddick on another, and Blue October on the other one.
Blue October. Yeah, they're pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Well,
No, that's it. That's it.
yeah. So once again, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for all the comments we had. We appreciate it. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on social media. We appreciate that too. And we'll be back very soon with another episode. So for Jason, this is Justin saying, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.